You're listening to the Align to Amplify podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Sarah and Haley.
Okay, welcome to Align to Amplify. I am Sarah Sunshine Garrison, and I'm an intuitive business healer, and I am here with
Haley Lewis, brand accelerator and executive creative advisor. I help people align their visual brand for highest exposure. We're going to get right into taboo topics right away, aren't we?
Exposure. We both make that. So one of the challenges that we've had up to this point was what topic to go over.
And and the thing is that it's Sarah and I can talk forever about anything. Mm-hmm. But the fact that we're recording is kind of like, and I know that I've said, oh, I'm good with anything, but it's kind of like, ooh, should we talk about that? Yeah. And should we have it recorded? And should we put it out there? Because, they can get spicy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, what were some of the topics that we were discussing? First of all, Haley has this folder of memes in her phone, which is in front of us, staring at us right now.
I don't have access to it. Oh, well.
Of inspiration for conversations. So that was one of our topics. Mm-hmm. Another one was
the rumors of potential COVID shutdowns coming this fall.
Yeah. And then the last one was about the presidential debates that are happening for the Republican Party right now.
That stupid show that nobody watched.
I mean,
whatever.
I didn't even know. I mean, I saw news pieces saying, oh, it's going to happen. I didn't know when it was. It goes to show how much, I care about politics, but how much I care about that, I don't know.
I just like complaining about politics. I don't like watching and getting involved.
See, I don't like sound bites. That's the thing that irritates me is when you get a sound bite, it's only a portion of what the person said. And it happens it's not just politics, it happens all over the place.
That's marketing.
But I hate that because so you could have somebody talking about all the great things that are going on in this world, and they say one little teeny tiny piece that might be negative, and that piece gets pulled out. Now everyone thinks the topic was this horrible negative topic, and this person's a horrible evil person.
No, because you can use sound bites from a marketing point of view to craft the message and intention that you want. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the full truth. Yeah. It's just focusing on what you want people to focus on. And that's, okay, here's the thing.
We're getting into Haley's genius right now.
I'm getting into it because and I'll touch a little bit on the COVID bit, mm-hmm. but because the way that it was rolled out back in 2020.
For COVID?
Yes, COVID, and continued through 2021 and partially 2022, were the elements of a campaign. Anybody with their two shits together on how to market, how to develop a campaign message and a strategy and launch it would see this. And so it was hard for me to take anything seriously other than the COVID was, serious, but watching it be handled and packaged like a marketing campaign really, really turned me off, and it just made it less important in my eyes because I saw the elements of a strategy.
Well, I think we talked about sound bites getting into this whole COVID conversation, but that has always been my problem. I'm going to say media, but it's like a broad-based media sort of thing. I'm not going towards any one thing, but in all media, social, mainstream, whatever, everybody's crafting a message. Everybody's trying to tell their story in the way they want to be seen. And, it's why with politics, the presidential debate last night, it's not presidential, the Republican, I don't know, whatever.
It's like the Republican primary debate.
Yeah. Well, with that, so for me, it would have been, because I don't like sound bites, being able to watch the entire thing to understand it would have been better for me, because then I would have known what people are saying. I won't even watch the sound bites now, because it's just it's going to be a marketing ploy, and they're going to craft it to be like whichever one they like the most is the one that's going to have the good stuff.
And who is delivering the message also.
Yeah.
It says a lot about who is delivering what message, and they all do it.
Well,
and if
yeah.
you have conflicting message, just look at who the messenger is.
Yeah.
And then you know and you understand what they're trying to communicate or deflect from or focus on. And
Well, that's
it's basic strategy. It's a basic communication strategy.
Well, and I think going back to COVID, so it's like, seriously, I'm jumping all over the place right now. But going back to COVID and crafting that message, like, so if you think about the presidential debate stuff, just in a general political thing, you know, every news organization that's worth anything, all of them are going to say things in a certain way to put things in a certain light. And that is part of crafting your message and marketing. And, everybody can have a different opinion. You know, you've got the big ones that each one has a different opinion politically. But then when we looked at COVID, it was a lot different. Like, if there were any dissenting opinions, those got squashed. Those got shut down. You know, there wasn't a open discussion or free discussion on what was going on. You know what I mean? Like,
do you think that was fear driven? Because I honestly believe a lot of people were just scared out of their minds because of what they were told. And to have a death ticker on your daily news.
That's scary. That instills fear into people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand keeping up and understanding, you know, it's important to know that, hey, this is a deadly virus and people are dying from it. I get it. But to have a moment to moment ticker running across all news stations.
Yeah.
Was incredibly crass to me and insensitive, especially since I had, you know, I didn't lose my dad to COVID, but I lost him during COVID.
Yeah.
And it just was, it was bad taste for me.
Yeah. Well, and it creates more fear in people, because if you think about it, first of all, everyone was sent home. I'm one of the few that was not sent home, because the type of work that I was in at the time was, we were part of the.
You had to make sure that those safety protocols were being followed in the workplaces where we were like workers were still open and working.
Yeah, we were like the warehouse people. We were like the food production people.
Yes.
That, like, we were the essential workers outside of medical and emergency, you know, all the other essential workers that exist out there. That's what the industry I worked in. But what I felt like happened was they sent everybody home. So you were isolated by yourself in your home with maybe just your family. Or if you were a single person, you were by yourself in your home with maybe a cat or a dog, if you're lucky. And you're seeing all of this scared, all these, it's scary. Like, I know before I truly understood everything, at the very beginning, I was very scared. I was very afraid. Nobody knew at the beginning what this virus was, what it was capable of. And there was a huge fear factor for me, because I still had to go out into the world. I couldn't stay home. So I was exposed to everybody all the time. And I was so afraid that I was going to bring something home to my family, you know, because part of my job too is to take people to the emergency room. And so having to sit in those places, like, there were little things like that just came up for me, that there was a fear factor. But I wasn't sitting in front of the TV all the time. I wasn't, you know, listening to the news constantly while I was out. Whereas I feel like when you're at home, the only source of information you have is that TV and the social media. And when you have any alternate voices coming out that get squashed in that process, it allows for even more fear to build.
Yes. So we come back to, how do you manage your fear? How do you take in information, assess it, and then implement it to the best ability in your own life? I think that's the biggest thing. And I mean, somebody sent me a clip where somebody was talking about that the TSA had a meeting to, kind of prep everybody that masks are going to be required on flights starting in October. Now, I don't know if that's real. I didn't do any research, but it did, it came my way. And so I read it and was like, oh, what's going on? Like, I mean, we have heard that there's a new strain that's come out of Canada. But here's the question. If they implement lockdown again, what do you do? What do you do to survive? What do you do? Do you comply? Do you ignore? Do you adjust somewhat? I mean, because we complied
Yeah.
last time, and then it got to be like, wait a minute, sometimes things don't make sense.
So there's multiple, like there was multi-part questions in there. I want to address first, how do you like the fear piece. So one of the things that has helped me is I turned off the national news. I stopped following all of the major news organizations on any social media at all. I have one news organization that I follow that is national, that literally just gives information, and that's it. And then I have one local news channel that I follow because I want to know what's going on locally. But I try to avoid even the talking heads that exist out there. Like, there are some that I absolutely love. I love their information. I love their stuff, but they've unintentionally fearmonger. And I don't think that it's on purpose.
They profit from it.
Yeah.
These organizations profit from sensationalized, almost like those clickbait headlines.
Well, and the divisiveness, like they profit from like getting you to dislike your neighbor more. There's just like, I don't know how to explain it, but they're villainizing, and it's not just one talking head or one news organization that does this. It happens across multiple. It's villainizing the other side versus understanding the other side.
And that's the United States of America has been the melting pot forever, from the very beginning, which means we're going to have a lot of different opinions, different people, different cultures, different races.
So why aren't we
working
celebrating
together?
the togetherness versus trying to put ourselves into these little boxes where we're all different?
You have to look back on who would benefit from separating us and dividing us. That's, like I'm going to go back to the COVID shutdown. When we did that, we had to leave work. Like, you're isolated from your work family. You're isolated from your family. Mm-hmm. You're isolated from friends. You're isolated. You couldn't go to church. So you're isolated from your religious community. I mean, think of all those things, your activities. They closed down gyms, beaches, parks.
I couldn't go rafting.
Yeah.
I couldn't go paddling.
There's a lot of separating you from your support system, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. And then feed you nonstop.
Fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that we are coming into an election cycle. So that's part of this whole new conversation.
You're getting into conspiracy. Do you honestly believe that this is a master plan associated with controlling the people during an election cycle? I'm asking it because
it worked last time. I mean, think about it. So I'm not trying to be like this weird conspiracy theorist or like this hater of like, I understand people died from COVID. Like it wasn't just this little cold or this little flu or anything like that. It was much more than that. I got COVID I did end up going to the hospital because of some complications. You know, so I understand the importance, and I understand that it's a real thing. It's not like some fake people made up sort of thing. It's a real thing. But what I am saying is that there were so many laws and rules changed with the voting system in different states to accommodate this. And I don't know if that changed the outcome of the election, because I don't really know if, like, I'm just going to say this. President Trump was a loudmouth, and he caused people to hate him. He did.
Oh, yeah. I can't listen to him, but
Biden stumbles over his words all the time.
I can't listen to him either.
Those two going against each other, I just like, what were we thinking, America? What were we thinking? Like, I don't understand. And so
It does come down to, I mean, a lot of people will say it's the lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
But that should not be the way.
It shouldn't be that way.
It should not be the way.
But I don't know if we didn't have the COVID restrictions, if the outcome of the election would have been any different, because I'm sorry, Trump says some really stupid shit. He just does. He's arrogant. He's arrogant. He's smart, but he's arrogant and just back in 2016, we were on vacation and we got to the hotel, and I guess on all the news channels was the Republican convention going on. Mm-hmm. And we turned it on, and the first thing I heard was Trump's voice, and I'm like, ugh. I'm like, turn it off. I mean, I just couldn't. But later, after the shock of him becoming president and everything, and I was like, okay, I was raised that you respect the position. Maybe you don't respect the man, but you respect the position. Yeah. And so I'm like, okay. And I read his talks because I still can't to this day. He's just got one of those voices that are like, yeah.
But I read some of his speeches, different things. Mm-hmm. And if you take it out of context of being him and you read the substance of the words, mm-hmm. which I would highly recommend everybody to do for anybody that you're considering voting for.
Yeah.
Because then it takes that personal bias out and you look at the concepts. Mm-hmm. And he said some pretty interesting and spot on things, which did resonate with me.
Yeah.
And that's the only way that I could get through,
through his voice.
I was going to say get through those 4 years. That was because I wasn't a fan. I wasn't, but I didn't hate him either.
Yeah.
And I still don't. I don't hate him now.
Yeah.
And I do think looking on the outside, because I'm not a big fan, but I don't hate him. I do see a lot of hate toward him, which is really unprecedented.
Yeah.
With anybody else in politics.
I don't know. I think that Biden, I was going to say, I think Biden gets a lot of hate, but I don't think that it's actual hate. I think that there's a piece of people, even the people that don't like him, I think it's more of they feel bad for him because it feels like his mental capacity is waning quite a lot.
I feel like there's a lot of elder abuse happening in that, after having my mom live with me for the last, couple years of her life, and seeing her vulnerability, seeing some of the aging brain.
Yeah.
And I recognize some of that with President Biden.
Yeah.
And why would Jill allow him to be in such vulnerable position for that type of hate and that type of criticism?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if people hate him though. I
don't think people hate him. I don't think they like his policies, and I don't think they like where our country is headed, but I don't think he knows
Yeah.
what's really happening.
I don't. So if we compare like Trump and Biden, I think Biden, no, I don't think that Biden elicits the same visceral hate that Trump does. Like the people that don't like Biden don't like Biden. They don't like him. Like, and they feel sorry for him. They feel like they're like, he shouldn't be in that position. Like he just doesn't have the mental capacity to be in that position. And like you said, they feel like it's elder abuse in some ways. Whereas I think with Trump, people hate him.
No,
like hate him.
People want him dead.
Oh yeah.
And I don't understand that level of utter contempt where you would be okay to wish the end of life for somebody. And not only wish it, but talk about it and write it over and over and over again. And it's almost like proud. I'm proud to say I want somebody gone. Like, I don't understand that.
It gets into the shadows of who we are, you know. I think it's called the Hawkins scale of consciousness, and I'm probably butchering something. But it's all about like our emotions and how they all resonate at different energy frequencies. This is going into my woo-woo space, so y'all give a listen to that. But, you know, anger and fear resonate at a very low frequency, which basically means that you can be controlled better through anger and fear.
Is that the reptile brain thing?
Oh, I don't know, probably.
It's like the basement brain.
Yeah, it just puts you in this lower vibrational frequency, which is easier for you to be controlled. And I think that what happens is when we allow that hate to take over. I mean, what Donald Trump does should not elicit so much anger and hate. We should just be ignoring his antics because he feeds off of the visibility. He feeds off of he doesn't care if you hate him. He doesn't.
No, as long as you're talking about him, he loves it.
Exactly. So but it sparks something in us and we just get, oh my God, I want to, and by feeding that, it's just like a feedback loop. If we can just ignore those antics and live our life, yes, I understand sometimes the policies come in that cause problems with you. So I understand that aspect. But if you can ignore the antics will eventually go away because, oh, I hope. I mean, we are talking about Trump, though. So anyway, we're getting down these weird paths talking about the president's. The thing that scares me, honestly, I don't think President Trump was a horrible president. I really don't think he was. I think that he was a loudmouth. I think that he irritated people. I think he said some really stupid, shitty things. But I didn't think he was like this horrible, hideous president. I really feel like he had this idea that he wanted to put the American people before he put the foreign nationals, like not foreign nationals, like other countries. He wanted to put Americans first and other countries second. And I appreciate that. I didn't always agree with his methodology. I didn't always agree with what he was doing, but I appreciated that we came first and not the other countries. And
I'll tell you that right now, my small business flourished during the Trump years.
Oh, lots of people flourished during the Trump years.
So if you just look at it from that point of view, for me, I would agree.
Yeah.
That we were growing, successful, confident in the economy. People were freely spending, and it just commerce was just happening for the little guys.
Yeah. Yeah, but going back, I don't think that he was a bad president. Like, I don't. Would I want him to run again? I really don't want another Biden-Trump. I really don't. I don't want to. Those two should not be going up against each other again. It just shouldn't be happening. There shouldn't be a replay on this. we really need to get somebody else in there. Like, I mean,
Okay, I'm going to ask you, who would be your ideal matchup?
oh gosh, I really don't know. I don't know a lot of the other candidates. I know Ron DeSantis is one of them. There's things.
I mean, you didn't watch the Republican debate
I
last night?
didn't watch it.
I didn't either.
I don't know. So there are good things about DeSantis and there are negative things about DeSantis. It's really awesome. I have a friend who is who I had a conversation about DeSantis, and this friend does not like him at all. And what was really cool is we were able to have this conversation, and this person was able to provide me with information kind of supporting what the belief structure was and where it was built from. And so I can understand why he's really hated, like why people don't like Ron DeSantis. Some of the bills he's signed into law are confusing to people, and the way that they've been marketed feel very evil. And, you know, seeing what she shared, like, I can understand why people really, 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 really don't like him. You know, he almost elicits the same visceral reaction as Trump does, but he's more eloquent in his speaking.
Do you think, though, that the Trump hatred is just being transferred? Like people want to hate somebody.
Well, I mean, Trump is running. So I don't know how it's transferred to DeSantis right now because Trump is running.
Well, I heard he didn't go to the debate.
Well, he didn't go to the debate because it was a middle finger to Fox News.
Oh.
So this
shows you how informed I am.
He sat down with Tucker Carlson and had a conversation with Tucker. Now, I didn't watch that either. I didn't watch that.
I think I saw a headline that said that he had like almost 200 million views last night.
Oh my gosh.
But I didn't know what that was about, so I was like, huh.
Yeah, no, he didn't participate because Fox News let go of Tucker Carlson or whatever that whole political whatever it was. And so him and Tucker Carlson sat down and had a conversation during the debate or something like that. I don't know if it was like a competing time. I don't know exactly, but that was what I had heard.
But that's why he didn't go to the debate, or he chose not to go to the debate, and then Tucker Carlson said, hey, why don't you come and do an interview with me and we'll drop it at the same time. See,
I don't know what the timeline looked like. I don't know how that worked out, but I do know that he was very adamant. Well, the rumors are that he did it as a middle finger to Fox News. There's also conversations about, I think what he said was, well, I'm leading so far ahead that I don't need to be in these conversations with these people because, I mean, he's well, that would make sense. 40 points above all of the other candidates combined.
Okay, that makes a little more sense because it's kind of like, why would I waste my time with some mouth breathers that, maybe hold 1% or something that have no like snowball's chance.
Well, and maybe he thought they were all going to get digs at him during that. Because, I mean, like, the whole point is to bring down your competition.
Yeah, you always punch up.
Yeah.
You always punch up.
And
I mean, I get it. Okay.
Maybe he's tired of being punched. I mean, how many indictments does he have? Like 90-something? I mean, maybe he's just tired of being punched and doesn't want to get punched anymore. So he wants to go to a place where somebody's going to be nice to him. Maybe? Well, I don't know.
I guess, anybody would be like that. That would be anybody's. I mean, that would be anybody.
You're running for president. I mean, come on. Like, you got to play the game. Like,
so who's running on the Democrat side? Because
Biden. Usually what happens.
Is Kennedy still in it? Because I was kind of liking him.
Yeah, but it's. So when you have the incumbent, so my understanding is the Democrats are not going to have any debates at all for the primaries.
Biden. But do you seriously think Biden could debate?
Usually, you don't have anybody challenging the incumbent. If it's the incumbent, like for president, you don't have somebody that's like throwing their hat in the ring because everybody just wants.
Everybody just assumes it's a gimme.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
So why would you put your hat in the ring? So. I think that the Democrats are like, well, no, we're not going to have any debates because there's no point. To them, they don't feel there's a point.
But is there a primary? There have to be
there's
primary.
always primaries, and so there's always primaries, but the primaries just automatically, they only have one name on the ticket, and they just
Have we heard about Kennedy
I haven't heard
lately?
anything.
I mean, he was quite the buzz
Yeah,
this summer,
I haven't heard anything.
and then I think they just smashed him. I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything.
God, we could talk forever on these politics.
Well, yeah, because I mean, I'm pretty divided.
Mm-hmm.
I live in a divided home. I'm probably more libertarian or independent than the rest of my well, maybe not exactly, but I would say like what happened to Tulsi Gabbard. She was my top. She was
would have
my
been great.
top Democrat primary. I loved her in the debates. I voted for her in the primary. I mean, and then then she left, and I think is she independent?
I don't think she's part of the Democratic Party anymore.
She left.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that I feel like I'm feeling like divided as well. I'm probably more libertarian than I am Democrat or Republican. I am a conservative person in some ways, but I'm also a very liberal person in other ways. Like, I feel like we need to take care of people. I also feel like y'all need to get out of my business. Like, don't tell me what to do. Like, your laws should not be on my body in any way at all. Like, and I know that this is a hot topic for some people, but like, if it's my body,
My right.
right, it's my body, my right for everything. If I don't want to put a vaccine in my body, you can't tell me to. That's my body, my right in all ways, shapes, and forms. And I know that goes against other viewpoints of, abortion. That, for me, I do feel like there needs to be some limits. Like, it shouldn't be like all the way up until birth. But there's also a piece of me that's like, I'm not here to tell somebody else how to live their life. And that's a hard part
I think
for me.
that needs to be a
whole
completely
conversation.
different conversation, because I know you and I are going to get into it.
Oh, we could go on for hours. And I know this is the point where we do disagree. And I understand the disagreement. And this is where I get torn, because I very much understand that. I understand the idea of life. And so I get very like turned up inside because of this. But I do want the government out of my shit. I don't want them to like be
so libertarian of
I
you.
know.
But I get it.
But I'm also like, I feel like I'm a fiscal conservative because I don't want to give all of my money to the government. Like, let me figure out which charities I want my money to go to. Like, let me figure out how I want to spend my money. Don't tell me how I'm supposed to spend my money. Like, that's not. So I feel like that's a conservative.
How you and I meet in the middle, because it's so funny that we're really, really similar as fiscal conservative, socially progressive.
Yeah.
But we
progressive,
come,
that's the right word.
We come from the different sides to meet in the middle. So I find that really, so it's possible, people, to get along, have great conversations, respect each other, and open up the dialogue. Open up and listen.
Exactly.
Don't just talk and then tune out when you don't like what you're hearing. That's how we're going to grow. And that's how we're going to stay together and get through the hard stuff.
Yeah. Well,
Because doing it alone and being, we call it alone in my principles kind of thing. It doesn't work, and it doesn't help.
And we need to have a space where we can agree to disagree. Like, it's okay to have very different viewpoints on certain things, because that's not all that you are. Like, this abortion topic isn't all that I am or all that she is. While we can disagree on these things, there's a piece of both of us that we can understand what the other person is saying. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not my identity.
exactly. Yeah.
It's just part of my opinion.
Exactly.
So I think with that,
I think we're going to call it.
We're shutting this down
We're stopping here before we go another 2 hours, guys.
because it could go on and on and on.
Oh yeah. Maybe we'll pick this up in another.
I could talk
podcast.
to you forever, Sarah.
Oh yes. So, okay. Until next time, have a good one. We will see you next week.
All right. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye.